Hi, 7th grade. So craziness. Welcome to May. I'm recording this thing late at night in the middle of April before this baby makes her debut. So, I went through halfway of teaching the material on biomes and I lost the video. I don't know what happened. It just turned off. So I actually have my notes to the side, and if you're kind of wondering, she never does that and has prepared. I'm just starting over with the video. So last week we learned about populations and communities. So we started out with the living organism. We built it into species slash populations. We built it out again, said there's a number of different species, populations living in a community. And the community, there's a bunch of those, and their habitats interact, like we talk about with ecology, that create the ecosystem. Now, we're going to focus in on those bigger parts now. The ecosystems, the ones that are all similar, they combine to make what we call biomes. So we have the biomes, and then the biomes make up the biosphere. So we have to know there are 7, there's actually more, but there's 7 biomes I'm going to focus on with you at this point. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go through each biome. I'm going to break it down, like what's kind of there, what lives there, and just talk about it. So we'll start with the cold. But before I move forward, this is your definition for biomes. It's similar to ecosystems, okay? So all the ecosystems are similar together. The climates are all the same for all those ecosystems. Vegetation, you'll find like the same thing in all the wildlife. So if you have 2, let's say rainforests, one here in the north and one here in the south of the world, if they have similar things, their ecosystems have very similar, all this, it's part of the same biome. So we're like I said, we're making bigger and bigger, and we're getting outer till we get to the biosphere. Okay, the first one, this is great because I've already written this. It's called the tundra. Okay, so go ahead and write this stuff down. This is also known as the frozen tundra. It is translated as cold desert. Okay, there's no trees. It's hard to get nutrients from the ground. So you'll see some wildlife during the summer, but it's very rare to have anything that actually grows roots in here. You do see lynches, moss, grass, and small shrubs because they're able to kind of plant themselves and hang in there, but nothing like forest trees or anything. There are 2 different types. Actually, permafrost is the layer of ground always frozen. So the tundra always has a frozen layer. Like in the summer, we have a part that melts away, the snow, but there's going to be a frozen part you're going to be walking on. It's always frozen. Alpine tundra is the exact same. Okay, so still in the same biome. It's still cold, but this one talks about high altitude places. So this is where you're going up into the mountains. Is where you can find that tundra. So it's alpine tundra, because alpine means high, high up, roughly. And you're going to see the exact same characteristics. All right, no trees, these kind of plants. Animals only coming out during the summer to make it easier. The second one, this is where I started losing you guys, is the taiga forests. Okay, so these are south of the tundra, and what it is it's still very cold, but we start seeing forests start happening. What type of tree makes it up? The coniferous tree, excuse me. They're very dense because they have a lot of needles. What do you know has a lot of needles? It's very green, and it has to do with the holiday. It's a Christmas tree, right? So what your Christmas tree looks like is what you're going to see in this biome. Now, if you have a pink or silver or shiny Christmas tree, probably not so much. Unless I guess if there's snow on it, you might have some glittery effect. But, so what lives there? Now I'm picking up my notes again. Bobcats. Okay, so you want to really pay attention and take notes on all these because you're going to need these notes in order to do your homework. So if you're not taking notes, go back and redo it. Okay, wolves, foxes. So we're starting to see some wildlife happen. Lynxes, kind of like a small cat. Rabbits, moose. That's actually what you call a bunch of moose, because we're meeses. That's funny, it's like geese. elk, and porcupines. Porcupines. All right, so it's very similar to what you would see in a forest, but these are like animals that can actually stand the cold a lot better. And you're gonna find them more in the forest because they have the shelter of the forest to to protect themselves. Okay, so write this down. Freeze it if you need to. I'm gonna run out of whiteboards. Make sure you're numbering these too, because it's going to really help you keep track as you go through those notes if you're just kind of writing it down. The third one, remember, we're going down from coldest to warmest. Oh, it gets going up. No, it's going down. Deciduous forest is next. So we're still in the forest. Like I said, the forest is an ecosystem, but there's different ones with the biomes, depending on the climate that it's in. Now, these trees are what lose their leaves, so we're starting to make it into the northern part of America at this point. So if you're from the north, you probably experience the changing of the seasons quite often compared to here in Texas. We don't really see very much of the orange and the brown and the reds of the leaves changing and falling off. It just kind of happens. Or they stay on all year because of our climate. Trees lose their leaves in seasons. There is usually lots of rain and mild temperatures, or moderate. I shouldn't say mild, moderate temps. And when I say moderate temps, that means that it's not too cold, it's not too hot. Yes, we have to shovel snow up north, but the thing is that it doesn't get to the point like the frozen tundra where it's like something below zero like every single day. So when I say moderate, that means it's bearable, that we can actually go out and survive just fine by putting on a coat, or when it's summertime, I mean it's a little bit humid, it's not going to be horrible. What lives there are raccoons, black bears, so this is more of the forest that you might be thinking of, or I'm used to, birds of all kinds, mice, rabbits. So these are the animals that can still stand cold, but not frozen cold like we were just doing with the taiga forest. Woodpeckers and foxes. So foxes actually like both kinds of forests. So there's your list. Freeze it if you need to, and go back whenever you need to get this list. So you really want to pay attention, because that's going to play into your homework. I don't know how many times I'm going to tell you this. Alright, so let me erase one of these. The next one is going to be temperate rainforest. So now we're getting into more of the humid type biomes. And remember, these are pretty, you can usually look at a map of the world and you'll see these biomes kind of going across roughly the same latitudes. But they're not going to be like all straight in a line. There might be like 3 biomes of the same latitude roughly. Sometimes you might have one up here and one down here, but as long as they still meet the criteria together of having the same temperatures and the same vegetation and same climates, then they're going to be in the same biome. So, like I said, it's temperate rainforest. This one's a little bit shorter than the other ones for this biome. All right. There you go. Oops, actually put it up there. The best way to put it is this one receives a lot of rain. So it's just constantly raining there. And what lives there is black bears. So black bears like both the Dioecious forest and this one. Cougars. So we got some mountains going on here too. And amphibians. And amphibians like it because of the humidity and because it's not too hot, it's not too cold, and they can't really regulate their body temperature on their own because they're cold-blooded. So they rely on that sun and the cooling down of the rain. Look at that. That's all I have for you on this one. Temperate rainforest. Receives lots of rain. What water is rain? Rain is water. And then these are the main animals that you're going to see there. We got a couple more. Hang in there. Erase it, and here I go. I didn't grab that many whiteboards like I thought, but you know what? When you're trying to carry like a ton of stuff from your classroom, you kind of go, well, whatever I can deal with. Okay, number 5 is going to be a little longer because I'm going to talk about the different layers of this one. Now, this is the rainforest we always know, tropical rainforest. Okay, it still has rain, but this one is the hot, rainy forest. Okay, so the other one's just rain. It's still cold, but this one's actually hot, humid. It's located close to the equator. So how I said that some of them are here and here, there could be one on this side of the equator and this one on this side. So majority of the time you're going to find these in South America because that's where closest to the equator is. We in Texas are actually close to the equator, but we have a dry heat. We don't have the rainy forest. Located next to equator. It's mostly animals. So what animals live there? You probably know a good chunk of these. Monkeys, jaguars. If you go to the Dallas aquarium, you can actually see at the very top of their building and everything, it's actually set up as a tropical rainforest. So they make it a little warm, but there's actually a jaguar up like there. And that jaguar is beautiful and everything. But you can actually get a really good glimpse of what the tropical rainforest is like. So monkeys, jaguars, leopards, snakes, beetles, ants. So we're going with a lot of bugs here. Crickets, parrots, and toucans. Okay, so there's your list. Now this rainforest has layers. You might have gone over this before when you were in elementary school. It just depends. But I'm going to label those out real easy for you, fast. There are 4 layers. Actually, let me erase one of these and then I can just layer it up for you guys. That might be the easiest thing. Okay, so we're still going to bullet point it to make it easier. If you would like to draw the tree out and then put the layers on it to really get a visual, that works too. The first one is what we call emergence. This is usually not talked about in elementary school. Canopy is usually your top one, but emergence is above the treetops. So we're talking like the air and everything where a lot of the, birds fly. The next one is canopy. The canopy is the upper parts of the tree. So it's not above the tree, it's the actual top parts. We're talking like the leaves and everything. It's what covers. Canopies, they cover us. And I'll flip this around so you guys can see that. Emergence above the treetops. Canopy is the actual covering of the trees. The next one is understory. Okay, and every single layer has its own habitat happening. There's like species and communities happening and they're interacting with each other, but they basically stay in that that range of places. So the understory is under the canopy, but the leaves are not touching the ground. So they're big leaves that are covering up that part, but they're not part of the underground. The forest floor is what we call it. And you probably heard me say that. Forest floor is your bottom part of this one. Great thing about this is it actually is like floor. We know where the floor is. Okay, the forest floor. Back up for you guys. That is the lowest. It's just referred to as the lowest zone. So that's where you're going to find all those insects and the lizards a lot of times. Sometimes they'll go up to the understory, but not. Lowest form? Lowest layer. Lowest tree. Lowest layer. Alright, so Now, random fact about the rainforest, okay? The rainforest, the Amazon rainforest is actually the biggest rainforest in the whole world. And that's where a very good chunk, about 80% of our oxygen comes from around the world. Kind of crazy because you would think, well, I live here in North America, but that's South America. Well, when you put that oxygen into the air and it's not sucked up because there's not enough humans out there, it's going to travel around the world and be there. Now, with that being said, a fact that is actually happening right now is that every second of every day, 1.5 acres. So that's about the size of the church, is probably the best way Crown of Life is, are cut down. The trees are cut down. So if you really think about it, it's a football field size. Every second, every day, a football field worth of trees from the rainforest is cleared out to make room for housing, vegetation. We need the trees, whatever it is. So it's important that we keep planting trees. Or one day we might not have 80% of our oxygen. And if we don't have that oxygen, yes, we've talked about we can breathe, we can operate on less oxygen for our brain, but our brain can't function at maximum capacity without that necessity happening. The sixth one is called, it's two names, but the same thing. Grasslands and savannas. So they both have qualified the same way, except the savanna is dry and the grasslands has a few trees. Every now and then the savannas does, but that's what you got. All right. The grasslands, you can think Lion King on this one. No, savannas is where the Lion King is. Well, actually, it's both. I don't know why I'm saying that. The grasslands are referred to as the Serengeti. Actually, that is the largest grassland. Serengeti. And what lives there? Giraffes, zebras, and elephants. For the savanna, it's more of a tropical rainforest, a region with little rain. So when I say tropical, I don't mean like you think about the rainforest. Tropical, I mean that it's the weather, basically the climate. So it's hot, it's humid, more, but there's little rain there. So, and what do you find there? That's where the bison are. So bison are buffalo. Not very many of those. And prairie dogs. So anything that's like a grazer that eats a lot of grass, maybe some cows, that's where you're going to find a lot of those animals. So these are still the same qualified biome. What I mean by that is that they can go by either or. They're very similar, but depends on what lives there. All right. Last one. We finally are about to make it. And this is the last of our notes. And then I'll go over your homework and check in for the week and blah, 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 blah. Okay, last one. Number 7. Remember, we went from cold to hot, so this is the highest one. Desert. You know that one. So it's actually just an ecosystem, but it's also referred to as a biome. Very dry land, like many of us knew. I think I've been watching a lot of movies, so I think Aladdin. That gets, here's the difference, both hot and cold. So it's hot during the day, and it is freezing. It's cold at night. So when you are in a desert, you always want to seek shelter at night because it's cold. So if you don't have that covering, then you might just freeze to death, which is kind of ironic that the desert is like that. What lives there? Kangaroo rats. It's basically an animal that looks like a rat that can actually bounce. Lizards. Snakes. This makes you really want to go to the desert, doesn't it? Vultures. And armadillos. We have a lot of those in Texas. I'll just put arm for armadillos. You guys remember that. And what you'll notice too is that there are plants, but the thing with the plants is that they're very spread out. And the reason for this is because it's going back to that ecology. It's studying how an organism interacts with its environment. Plants are spread out because they would have to compete for water, basically. So if they grow away from a number of other plants, they're not having to fight for that water that when the very few times that it does rain in the desert, or if somebody accidentally spills a cup of water next to them. So it's kind of funny how God works in placing all this stuff. So those are the 7 biomes that I want you to learn. Now, if you did not take notes or you missed some of the stuff, go back and rewatch this, or do some of the enrichment activities that will help break it down a little bit more and give you some more ideas. But the reason I'm saying that is because your homework this week is a big cup to fill, basically a lot of parts to it. So what you're going to be doing is that you're going to get cards. You can do note cards, but they might be a little small. Or take paper, fold in half, cut it. You're going to make a card for each biome, and on each biome, you have to write the name of the biome, draw a picture of what that biome looks like. So that's why I said it's important. I don't have the pictures in front of me, but those enrichment activities and the internet do. So put the name of the biome, draw me a picture, color it. That's how you can lose points easily, by not coloring. You're going to tell me about the atmosphere. So is it hot, cold, dry heat, tropical? Please don't just put one word, but actually put a little bit of effort into it. And you can bullet point all this information. So each card is you're describing the biome. All right? Yeah. So when you're describing it, you're labeling it, putting picture, describing the environment, the atmosphere. Tell me who lives there or what lives there. Okay? You can even dig into like plants. That's fine. Whatever I didn't, that's why I gave you all those plants and animals. And then some details to identify it. So every now and then, like here's grasslands and savanna. Look, Serengeti, that it would be a clue to tell me, okay, that's related to the grasslands. I've uploaded a picture for you to click on to a website that shows you an example of how to put this together. So you're going to start out with a card at the top, biomes, and then you're going to attach each card to make an accordion that goes down. We did this similar when we did the cell division accordion, when we had the big long paper and we taped it together and then we folded it and we had each step. That's what you're basically doing now, but with biomes. If you want to have a challenge for an experiment, build a biome. Like literally take a cup and build a biome. So that's it for this week. 1, take notes, very important. 2, do your vocab. 3, do your accordion cards is what it is. So you're breaking down that each biome and what it is. And then try the experiment and the enrichment activities if you're really struggling on this whole concept and lesson. All right, 7th grade, that's it. I'm happy that we finally got through it. And I do apologize, that was a little longer than I usually make these videos, but we had to really get through them. If you're lost on anything, please contact me. You guys have been doing a great job with that. Or contact Miss Cleland. She'll be happy to direct you back to me or answer the questions, and we're going to go from there. So, hope to see you soon. Good luck this week. Remember to breathe and enjoy your family and friends and whoever and whatever's going on. Many blessings.